staying healthy around Old Man Winter. Next, On Call with the Prairie Doc.
Good evening and welcome to On Call with the Prairie Doc. We sometimes brag about living in a part of the world where winter dominates several months of each year. In fact, we occasionally wear it as like a badge of honor that we are tough enough to get through winter. But honestly, it's often a challenge to maintain our health with the extra pressure that cold weather, snow, and ice bring. Okay, let's take a look at this week's Prairie Doc quiz question. During a below-zero spell one weekend, an ice fisherman noticed white discoloration of the skin of his cheek. The first treatment for frostbite he began was to apply snow to the area. Was the snow helpful or harmful to the fisherman's skin? Helpful or harmful? Joining us tonight is Anthony Vaca, MD, Avera Medical Group, University Psychiatry Associates, Sioux Falls, and Jill Kruse, DO, Avera Medical Group, Brookings, South Dakota. Thank you both for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about who you are, Tony. You're a South Dakota boy originally, or Chicago, I think?
No, I'm from Southern California. So actually, after my first year of college out in the San Diego area, when I moved from San Diego area to Vermillion, South Dakota, I had only seen snow fall once.
Really?
Yeah.
And you didn't go back?
I did not.
What drew you, what kept you here?
Well, winter is just one of the seasons in South Dakota, but there are three other beautiful seasons here, along with the beautiful people, and it's a great place to live and raise a family.
That's it? That was it? So where'd you go to med school?
I went to the University of South Dakota.
Like I did? Mm-hmm. And then you graduated there?
I sure hope I did. I did, and then from there I did 4 years of psychiatric residency and fellowship at the University of Missouri in Columbia, Missouri, which was a day's drive from Vermillion. So,
really, that's right, it is. Mm-hmm. So, Jill, tell us a little bit about you. You're originally from?
Inwood, Iowa, so actually not that far away.
Okay.
So then undergrad at Augustana, and then I did my graduate school training here in microbiology at SDSU. And
you're an SDSU? I didn't realize you were an SDSU person.
I am.
And then you did
Then I went on to med school at DMU, at Des Moines University in Des Moines, Iowa, and residency in Wisconsin. So I've just kind of hit the Midwest.
Where in Wisconsin?
It was a Baraboo Rural Training Track, so the circus capital of the world, hometown of the Ringling Brothers. So I had lots of fun patients. I had several circus performers, because there still is a small circus in town at the Circus World Museum. So my best friend there is a clown and magician, and I had patients, a contortionist with back pain, a trapeze artist with bad shoulders. So I got to see lots of fun things that you won't get at most family practice residencies.
I really like the idea of doing trapeze work someday, some way, but I don't think I'll get there somehow. So you are a family physician, and Tony, you are
I'm an adult psychiatrist, yes.
And so it's an appropriate thing that we would use your two expertise for the winter show that we're doing tonight. Let's start with seasonal affective disorder, because that's on a lot of people's minds right now. We're coming into Christmas. Sometimes it's a very sad time for many people. It's the heartwarming, loving, wonderful time of the year, as many of us think, but is it really? Tony, what's your take on holiday and happiness?
Well, let me start somewhere else, if I can. Let me back up.
Sure.
Do you notice, actually with the both of you, have you noticed that as we get into late fall and early winter, as the temperature starts to lower, we spend more time indoors, and the sun sets earlier in the day? Yes. Do you notice that you're more tired? Do you notice mild hibernation kind of symptoms?
Yeah, when you look at the clock and you say, oh, it's got to be 10 o'clock and it's only 5:30, yeah.
I mean, it's different. I mean, our energy level, our activity level changes. I've been practicing over 25 years, and I would say that the majority of people, if I were to ask, and I've asked them if they have noticed some change in the seasons with their energy and their motivation, drive, and the vast percentage of them would say, yeah, they notice it. So there are changes that do happen.
And they're natural.
They can be, certainly. There's just, again, kind of a hibernation symptom.
Yeah.
But then it gets into a point where if the mood starts to get more down, more maybe negativistic, more irritable, impatient, then that can be starting to be accompanied by changes in appetite or even sleep, but yet within control. That's when we're talking about the winter blues. And but seasonal affective is a term meaning mood, so we can really talk about seasonal mood disorder. But a seasonal mood disorder, we're talking now about the illness of depression. And so there has to be, the illness of depression is more than just mood. It affects your energy, sleep, appetite, concentration, your ability to fight infections. And so we're really talking about something that's really potentially, well, quite serious and can unfortunately be fatal. So the blues are a lower, mild, within our control feeling, but when it gets to a level of intensity that fulfills more than just mood, but other things, then it turns into an illness.
Right. For some of us, the arrival of winter brings a feeling of the blues that can be extreme. One of the switches that may turn this feeling up is the changes we experience in the amount and type of light, seasonal affective disorder, and one form of treatment.
It's referred to as SAD. It's when, as the days become shorter, you become more depressed. Your feelings, you just feel like you're sinking. Your energy and your mood, it drops down. You just feel like you're going to, it feels like you want to hibernate for the season. And I guess something like a bear, it hibernates during the cold and you just feel sluggish. Shortly after the time change, I looked out that window over there and I felt this terrible sinking feeling. And I felt more depressed by looking outside, and it was only 5:30 and it was kind of like, you know, am I going to have this go on for the next months? And so I went and got my SAD lamp. And it got me off the focus of that darkness and brought more, uplifted my spirits. I've been advised to use the SAD lamp. My counselor and my doctor advised that it would be good to use. I use it twice a day for 20 minutes. There isn't any special things that you have to do. You just have to stay, you know, about 12 inches from the lamp, and you can do and read and you can do anything you like. I've been biking and walking to work, and that decreases my depression, so that all helps. I think Dr. Holm would say that exercise and also some medication, all of that together helps. When a person first notices something when the time changes, not just bear and grin it, but to go talk to someone and explain to the counselor, the medical doctor what is going on, and see if they suggest a SAD lamp, and then go from there.
And of course, Lyle, I'm going to suggest people exercise. That's exactly what I think. I think that it has to be the thing that helps me get through this season, because it is one of those things you don't need a pill, you don't need a medicine, and it makes a lot of difference for a person who gets that light blues, which I can get. Jill, your experience in practicing, do you see a fair amount of SAD or seasonal affective, or as Tony's talking about?
I definitely see it. A lot of people, they may not always identify that, but if you kind of talk to them, sometimes they'll just blame it, oh, it's the crazy holidays, or I've got to get the house cleaned, or, there's a lot of stress and pressure that we put on ourselves to have the perfect Christmas and get the perfect gifts for everyone and have the house look like in the magazines, and that doesn't help when it's already getting dark so early, and it's not always December. December, I think sometimes people can kind of push through because there's the Christmas lights and festivities and things to distract you. It's that January, February where there's really nothing going down. The snow's no longer pretty. It's dirty and slushy, and at least for me personally, February. My husband always has to take me somewhere nice.
That's a good treatment.
So, because we just know February is going to be a bad month.
Well, or get involved with basketball. Yeah. That's the thing. Tony.
Actually, you said the words it took the words out of my mouth. Actually, with phototherapy, not everybody responds to it, but I would say most people, if they had the opportunity, will. And it takes almost about a week or two before you really notice the positive benefits that come with phototherapy.
That's what Lyle was showing with this big light.
There's different types of phototherapy devices out there, and the one that looked like a desk lamp is actually the one that I have over the years recommended because it looks like a desk lamp. It doesn't look like an X-ray box. Who wants to have an X-ray box emit light directly at you? Yeah. What do you do with it in January? You put it in the closet and hope you don't have to see it until maybe later on in the fall. But a couple of things with the light. The light is very important. All biologic systems need light to gauge our clocks. We have the circadian rhythm. It's running 24 hours, dependent on our sleep pattern or not. You start the best time to do it is to use the phototherapy device, the SAD light. You would do that usually at the first part of your day. And how far you are away from it will depend on how long you are under the influence of the light. You don't need the light flooding right into you. You just have to be basked in it. And what's really nice about the phototherapy devices is that they are emitting enough brightness. Okay, full spectrum lighting is not really the important thing here. It's all about brightness, and you gauge and measure brightness in lux, and lux, L-U-X, and so the real nice devices, the ones you are emitting 10,000 lux of light, which is equivalent of opening up your drapes on a beautiful spring day and having that light come through. Right. And so what you do is you basically arm's length away from the device, have it at about a 45-degree angle, read your Bible, eat your cereal, read the paper. It's about a half hour, and then that's really all you need to do.
And you do that a couple times. Do it at night too.
No, it's recommended to start off in the day. You don't necessarily want to do it. Your body's starting to get ready to convert into the sleep time. Plus, toward the latter part of the day, you're going to have more complaints of eye strain at about that time. So you want to do it in the morning.
So you start it. Now, it starts to get dark. We start noticing it. September's. When do you start it?
Around here, because again, it really depends on latitude. So the higher you up in latitude, then you will start earlier. So around here, over the years, I've encouraged those people on it to around mid-October.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's very interesting. And then you continue it through January, February, and
usually my rule of thumb is near Easter time. And it kind of depends. Sometimes there's a real late Easter, but by that point you're kind of already feeling like it kind of depends on what kind of spring we have actually.
I keep thinking about good lucks.
Good. Yeah.
Just a little play on word there. Good lucks on that. But my other question is, what about people who go to the sun tanning booths and so on and so forth? Is that an equivalent? Is that as good?
Can you open your eyes when you're sun tanning? No, you can't. So it's all about the light going into the retinas, into the optic nerve. The optic nerve is really an extension of your brain, and so it's the light going into your brain. That's what it's all about. People will have a subjective feeling of improvement because they feel the warmth of and they like the look. And it's So that's kind of a secondary thing, but it isn't, in the true sense of the word, the therapy part that having your eyes open.
So if somebody wanted to buy that lamp, I mean, that's the one that you recommend. You want 10,000 lux? I mean, what is it that you recommend?
Well, it depends, again, how far you are away from it and how much time you have it. I've had teachers in the area who will have it on their desks throughout the day, and they bounce back and forth between the front of the class and their desk. And a comment that I have heard many times has been that the teachers will come in and they'll tell me that other parents or other people will say, "Where did you get such nice bright light?" And it's like, wow, other people have this too.
Yeah. So internet, which brand would you recommend?
Again, this is I have no affiliation with the company, but the best one has been northernlighttechnology.com, and it's an outfit based out of Montreal. And just as an FYI, that lamp that he had is called a satellite, kind of a play on words, but with shipping and handling, it's like $235.
So it's not that
But it's a
much.
lamp you can use all year long. That's my point. You can use it all year long.
Yeah, it's a light.
It's a bright light.
And
it's transportable. And it doesn't look like a X-ray box.
Yeah, that's a good point. Any comments on this whole issue?
I think it's an easy way to fix a hard problem.
Yeah,
I mean,
and if that's not enough, of course, you need to talk to your doctor about the possibility of medicine. You need to try to exercise. I like to encourage people to get outside because there's something about the sun, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's the eye and the sun getting in.
Well, I think the other thing that goes without saying is that in addition to having the therapeutic effects of the light, what else is that gentleman doing? He's sitting, he's doing something. He is being involved. This is part of his treatment. And so just the act of doing that is part of it. So that's part of the behavior that comes with the cognitive behavioral therapies that we use in the treatment of mood disorders. Again, SAD, that term SAD, is recurrent major depression. If we really get technical, it's not just the winter blues. By definition, it's recurrent major depression if you've had at least 2 years of back-to-back episodes connected with that time of the year. And it doesn't have to be in the fall. You can have times when you have problems with episodes of depression that happen in the middle of July or in the middle of the summer.
Right.
It doesn't have to be in the fall, but most of the time it does. And the ones that respond to the light are the ones that tend to have it in the fall. One more point, because it's really interesting. Because most people with the illness of major depression, most of the time you don't sleep as much, you don't eat as much, and you're more restless. So the symptoms that occur when we're dealing more with seasonal pattern of major depression, we deal more with the atypical symptoms, where you eat more, you sleep more, and you have this low energy. We call it laden paralysis. It's kind of like you're laying in your recliner and you barely can reach over and get your remote. Yeah. And but it's a heaviness. It's almost like I'm in concrete. And those things are part of atypical, and those are the atypical symptoms, and those are the kind of things that you tend to hear more with seasonal pattern of depression.
So that's very interesting to me, that it differentiates this seasonal thing. I've often thought, though, that when I rotated through the psych rotation, the 2 months that I was on psych, it made me, a brilliant psychiatrist and knowledgeable about all of these things. But it made me realize how every kind of psychiatric problem that someone had was just a huge extension of a similar feeling that I've had sometime in my life, and that we're all there. I mean, we're all human beings, but some people get into a part of it that's sad, that immobilizes it. Now, you said that there's a difference in it as much as they lose weight, they don't eat, and they don't sleep.
You mean with the majority of people with major depression,
right.
Non-seasonal.
Right, and then the seasonal is more the opposite.
You sleep more, you tend to eat more with carbohydrate cravings. Well, what happens here between now and Christmas or New Year's, right? I mean,
Candy.
and baking goods, and no, but that's also part of the season. So that it's okay. Just remember, it's always about moderation as well. So don't forget about the healthy foods.
Right. And I would say if this is a group of people that are, as you say, not agitated, they've got hardly the energy to reach the channel changer, those are the ones that need to get exercising. I mean, there it is.
Well, you know who tends to get agitated are the people the significant others that they may be living with that have to maybe go get the remote for them. So,
as we're talking about sleep or sleep problems, and that brings up a pet problem of mine, not of mine particularly, but something that I see more and more, and that is sleep apnea. That's that long winter sleep, and they snort and they spew and they don't breathe, and the dangers of sleep apnea. Do you see a lot of it, Jill?
Definitely, and there is a link with increasing weight, obesity, the neck circumference. So you've got a big neck and a tiny throat, and
aging.
You know, it can lead to blood pressure issues and all sorts of heart problems, and it's a huge
risk.
problem with just cascading symptoms from it.
Yeah. So that's something also that as we think about these long winter nights, you know, and the sleep, that we want to think about making sure that we breathe well through the night. And if we don't, if there's a question, you can do a screening O2 sat monitor and see what you do, and then if that's abnormal, then get a full sleep study. We would strongly encourage that. There's other cold injuries that we need to talk about for winter, that it's not just psychological. What about the issue of hands cracking? That's a dilemma that I have because I wash my hands, you know, in and out of every room. Now it's a little less with the hand sanitizers. Jill, do you recommend anything for people who have a lot of cracks in their fingers and their nails and their...
You know, I got a really great piece of advice from an old dermatologist when I was on rotation at med school.
If he was old, it must be good then.
It's an oldie but a goodie. He said, the cheapest and best thing you can do is get plain old petroleum jelly. Just plain old Vaseline. Just Vaseline. He said, put it on after you've taken a shower, put on a layer, and then wipe off the excess. You'll have a nice thin layer of protection. He's like, go get your fancy bottle of lotion and read the first ingredient. It's going to be water. The second ingredient is petroleum jelly. So why are you paying for watered down Vaseline?
Yeah.
He's like, just use the first stuff and buff off the excess. You'll have that nice protective layer, and you've saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then he said, you also have to look at those labels, because some of the fancier ones, the third or fourth or fifth ingredient will be alcohol. So they've kind of got a repeating cycle because they're drying out your hands as they're moisturizing them. So, you know, look at the labels. Look.
If you look at the very best hand lotion, hand application, you know, the greasier the better, and you finally get it down to the greasiest, which is
plain old
Vaseline. Pretty darn cheap. And put that stuff on, particularly after you've washed your hands or after you've taken a shower.
Yeah.
It captures the moisture. I also like ceramide, CERAMIDES, and a lot of places have that. You can get, I like CeraVe cream, which is a little easier than Vaseline. It's not as good. But it captures it and holds it in.
And that's the whole point. He said, you know, you need to buff it off, and then you just leave that nice little wax layer, just like buffing your car.
And there's a little wax layer on everything you touch too, but that's okay.
It's okay. At least your hands won't be cracked.
There you go. This winter, many of us will be traveling to see loved ones for the holidays. Many will be flying often to warmer places, but most of us will be driving to Grandma's house. It's important to travel safely, be prepared, and remember what really matters.
Okay, we left Brookings in the family van. 4 kids were 14 to 4 years old. We were packed up to go to Grandma's for Christmas. We left here about 4 o'clock, and it took us about an hour and a half to get to Ivanhoe, and we had to get up to the Minneapolis area. We got stuck outside of Marshall. We tried doing a U-turn a couple of times and stuck. I was real glad that the Marshall radio through the evening said, "We know there are people out there, but we can't get to you." So that was comforting. When we were sitting there for the night, we decided we had to check out what the surroundings were like. My husband and I got out of the car, and we were both mad at each other. I was surprised. We were both mad at each other. And he went to the back and saw we couldn't move, and I went into knee-deep snow and saw we couldn't move. We came back to the car, and we paused for a moment because the 4 kids were sitting holding hands with each other in the back seat, and they were saying the Lord's Prayer together. And I've always thought that was just really cute. Okay, we'll stop and pause. And then it was like, well, now we have to go into survival gear. We turned on the car on the hour for about 10 minutes. That didn't keep us warm. That just kept psychologically let us know the car was working. And about 6:30 in the morning, we couldn't see out of any of the windows. Everything was frozen up. But we heard a snowplow, a vehicle, and it was Mr. Winter outside of Marshall plowing off his driveway that we could not see because of all the snow and darkness. Through the night, we could see a couple of safety lights of someone's property, and when we got into Winter's house, they had told us it was a good thing we didn't go for those lights or try to walk there because none of those people were home. And when we got up to the Winter's house, they offered us some Rice Krispies, and it tasted absolutely wonderful. That's the best meal I think I've ever had in my life, is that bowl of Rice Krispies that morning. Christmas has never been the same since. If I continue that story of once we got over to Edina and walked into Christmas Eve and all of the family is together and the sights and sounds and smells of Christmas was not as important as the safety and the well-being of my own family. Someone told me my face was all blotchy. Nobody had been frozen, but we were all just shaking cold or maybe excitement, I can't remember. It was surreal. And it didn't hit me until a year later what we had been through and what we had put our kids through. We left with the attitude, I think, that we've always driven this route. We're going to be okay. You just have to go with it. And that's not a smart idea, to think we're better than nature.
Well, we do have some graphics about a travel safety kit, but first let's go to the 511 graphic, and here we have go to 511, and that allows us to be able to look at what the roads are and what's open and what's safe and what isn't. So you go to 511 and follow the directions, and you can look at the roads and make sure that you're safe. So I think you need to remember to do that. The winter safety kit includes jumper cables, flashlight, first aid kit, food items like nuts and energy bars, which you can just store in a can in the back of your car and keep them there all winter. You should have water for each person or pet, plastic bags, AM FM radio to listen for traffic reports, cat litter or sand for better tire traction, and a shovel and an ice scraper. And also we should have warm clothes or a sleeping bag and some flares and reflective triangle in case you're stuck on a road in the middle of the road and there you are and somebody's going to come along and ram into you. And they talk about a brightly colored cloth to tie the antenna or hang out a window. So great bits of advice. I hadn't heard a lot of those. Any comments from you guys?
But there's one thing that's not on the list that I think is also important in this day and age is cell phone. I mean,
if you have a cell phone.
Yeah, I think most people do. Just don't use the cell phone when you're driving to check the weather, but you certainly can do so if you're pulled off the road or at a convenience store getting gas, or it's easier to check now with the cell phones. You just don't want to do it when you're driving.
You know, I think a cell phone in the pocket. One of the things that reminds me, I had a dear friend who was in an apartment. It was 20 below or lower, and she stepped out of her apartment, it was actually a house, to go to church and walk to church. And she slipped on the ice and she came down on her porch, and I don't know whether she hit her head or what happened, but she sat on that porch and froze to death, sitting on that porch stoop right outside her door. And I kept thinking to myself after all of this that if she had just had a cell phone in her pocket, they all have these necklaces, but they don't work when you're outside of your range of your house. And so the telephone, mobile phone, is a new advantage.
When I was in college, if I were to see somebody of similar age slip and fall on the ice, I'd laugh. As you get older, you don't laugh, and it's the thing that you really worry about. And I would imagine Jill and you, Rick, over the years have really seen those consequences of just those winter-related falls.
Falling is a terrible thing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And definitely shoveling out from the snow can be a hard thing on people. I remember when I actually was living in Volga, when I was going to SDSU, I was staying with friends of parents of a friend of mine.
Really?
And they were gone on a vacation, so I had to get myself out of their driveway, and the snowplow would come in and put a big 2-foot drift at the end, and there was a dip at the end of the driveway, and my car got high-centered and stuck. And I'm trying to dig out of this thing, and I kind of went into survival mode, and all of a sudden I saw this plane go overhead. I said, "Oh my gosh, someone sent help." I started waving at the plane, and I'm like, "Oh girl, I'm a moron. I can just walk in the house." But I got so fixated on I have to get to my chemistry class or I'm going to be late, and I have to dig out, and it wasn't worth it. I've got cold fingers thinking, "Oh my gosh, they've sent a rescue plane." No.
That's a psychiatric issue, isn't that? Do we have a name for that, Tony?
Delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Really what the season tends to do. I mean, as I was looking at that piece that we just saw, you look at the winter scene, and what do you see? You look at the snow and the trees without leaves. You look outside, and I sometimes will hear people say that it looks dead out there. It's not dead out there. It's another. It's all living. It all comes back, right? So the trees get leaves, and the grass that's brown gets green again. So winter is not dead time, and it isn't reflect that the outside is dead time. It's just at another phase of existence, and we are doing the same thing. We're adapting to that, and so we need to embrace the winter. We need to prepare. We need to. Maybe not be so hurried in case things like that happen, but we also have to know that's part of the season, and we need to embrace it and not moan and groan when it's here.
Well, I love the winter. I love a lot of things about the winter, and I run through the winter as a rule. And if you're running on icy streets like I did this afternoon, you kind of ice skate those areas, and there's a little risk. Mm-hmm. But I like to have people, if you can, if the sidewalks are clear, that you get out there, bundle up, and get out and spend some time outside every day to do that. But if you can't, get in your car, open the garage door, back out, drive over to the Lutheran church or the Catholic church or the wellness center or the places where you can get out and exercise and do those things on an indoor basis, and not be bummed about it being winter. It's just another phase.
Absolutely. Those people who love to snow ski and snowboard and really do it regularly,
yes.
Ask them how fast the winter goes. It goes fast. And they embrace it. And that's what I think we need to do. We need to find indoor art projects or some kind of, you just have to find something you can almost save for the rest of the year until winter. And then winter you do it, and then kind of leave it for winter for next year. But find things to do for winter. Boredom is bad, for people. Boredom is bad.
Well,
find things to do.
There is so much going on in this community, and in most of our communities. And I think about basketball at SGSU. There are people, if you go to every basketball game, there's hardly enough time to do anything else. Mm-hmm. And that's an exciting thing. People just embrace it.
And I had kids in sports and still do, and after your kids have graduated from high school and move on, maybe to college or mine even after college, then maybe
You're
those
older than you look.
well, I'm graying fast.
Oh, you had babies when you were 12.
No,
right?
no. But my point is that even though that as a parent you were there at the stands of, let's say you're in Redfield, South Dakota, and you had kids that went and played basketball, and now they're gone, you could still go. I mean, be there and support the community and the rest of the team.
Yeah.
It's going. That's the important thing. Being involved. It's better than trying to struggle for that remote at the at the nightstand and
all by yourself. Socialization is a huge thing, is it not?
You know, that it's so easy to say that it's too cold or it's too inconvenient or it'll take too long to go anywhere. Most of the time, no, it isn't. It's your perception of it.
Yeah. Any response to your comment?
Well, see, I still have the little kids that want to go outside and build snowmen and have snowball fights, and we actually did that over Thanksgiving down, because although Brookings missed that big snowstorm, they were excited to go down to Grandma and Grandpa's because there was snow, and we're dragging them on the sled and having snowball fights and making snow angels, and it was the best Thanksgiving ever.
I think about kids being inside and doing this all 4 seasons.
Yeah, all
what I
4
mean?
seasons, yeah.
Kick them out the door and bundle them up and go out there and find some fun out there, kids. Build something, and they'll do it.
They will, and then you have to bribe them inside with hot chocolate
when
when their cheeks are all red and their nose is, yeah.
You know, one thing that's, I think most people maybe around here don't seem to realize though, but when it gets summertime, in the dead of summer, in the deserts, in Arizona, I've had people tell me that they have had seasonal mood changes because now they're indoors all the time. And so it may not so much impact the light, but their lifestyle is now different. And so they're indoors almost as much as we are indoors during the wintertime. So, you know, it's kind of where you're at and still trying to find things to do that you can do during that time of the year.
And one of the things that we do this time of the year is cook. I mean, cooking and celebration and eating is really part of this hibernation process. And so is there any particular foods or cooking or that kind of food activity, Jill, that you think we should be talking about at this winter issue?
Well, I would say definitely watching with some of the cooking methods. If you're deep frying things, watch with the fire hazards with that, anything splashing up where you're candy making. You're dealing with really hot oil and a hot molten candy. So you do have to be careful with that. I mean, you do run the risk of burns if you're not doing things properly.
I'll have you know that I raised horseradish and I raised ghost pepper and habanero peppers in my garden. And so I froze them and then I processed them this last week. And that was hot too. And it was dangerous in that kitchen for a while. Coughing and sneezing. And so those are things. Well, this is the time of the year that we need to talk about eating correctly. And we have a package here with Katie Vanderwall.
Temperatures drop and the daylight hours are shorter, energy levels can take a dip, right along with mood. We all run the risk of being less active in the cold winter months, making it important to focus on nutrition. Seasonal affective disorder, which is a type of depression with a seasonal pattern, can change mood, energy focus, appetite, and sleep. Consuming some of these antioxidant and fiber-rich foods can help improve these symptoms. Salmon contains a precursor to a neurotransmitter associated with mood regulation. Salmon also has omega-3 fatty acids, which have been shown to help manage depression. Try salmon using a marinade or sauce, or even over a salad. Clementines are an adorable winter citrus packed with vitamin C and fiber, among other nutrients. They are great to snack on or add to a salad. Winter squash is rich in vitamin A and carotenoids, which have been shown to benefit heart health and immunity. Try roasting your squash with a dash of cinnamon for a change of flavor. Sweet potatoes are an excellent source of fiber and are packed with vitamin A and potassium. Enjoy these baked, roasted, or mixed into foods such as oatmeal. Cauliflower has been noted for its high phytochemical content and potential to help prevent cancer and inflammation. Try it steamed or roasted on its own, or add it to stir fry, mashed potatoes, or other common dishes.
$7,000 calories.
Where are they eating? Wow.
I do think that I overdo it on Thanksgiving and Christmas Day, though. Don't you? Do you? Do you? No.
Well, maybe. Just that day.
So any comments about particular vitamins, foods, or winter health or immunity with particular foods, or comments about SAD and food, any psychiatric active foods?
I would say vitamin D is a very easy thing to supplement. Again, if you're not getting enough direct rays, we're far too far north to get enough in the winter.
Right.
So it's an easy thing to supplement, and it can definitely affect how you're feeling.
I suggest 2,000 a day in a capsule at least from equinox to equinox, the winter season, half of the year, because half of the year north of Omaha, we just don't get enough vitamin D through the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. It's one of the vitamin levels that we check on our panel of tests, because really when we start looking at major depression or other mood or anxiety disorders, really their diagnosis of exclusion. I mean, we need to make sure there's not any other medical reason that's producing those symptoms.
Thyroid disease,
thyroid,
B12,
sugar problems with blood
diabetes.
sugar. So we need to, and it's basic labs, we check that, but one of the ones that we do tend to look at is vitamin D. And it's one of the ones that it tends to be low a good part of the time, maybe half the time.
Do you think the vitamin D supplement helps the psych?
Do I? Yes. I do believe that, yes. And now, but I will say though that the literature is not, they're kind of equivocal on that.
Well, the literature is equivocal, but you're gestalt.
But mood improves, but so does energy, and your ability to your immune system is bolstered. And it's easy to do, but you can use too much vitamin D. You can get toxic, but the 2,000 IU tablet is really inexpensive, easy to do,
and not toxic. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're really low, 2,000 a day is not going to hurt you. And so get it measured.
Well, because if it is low, and if it is really quite low, then 2,000 a day is not going to get you up to where you need to be. Mm-hmm. So you need the more potent D2 forms that are prescription, right. And you need to be on those once or twice a week for about a month or so, and then you convert over to the daily.
And it's the people who are overweight are the highest risk for this. I see this with overweight people. Mm-hmm. Jill, have you?
Yeah.
So, but no one said anything about other vitamins or any particular supplements, or do you think that there's an important supplement that should be said? Dr. Oz would probably say, well, all these other things.
I think there's been, if we were maybe recording this or having this show 2 years ago, we probably would be a lot more on the bandwagon for the omega-3s and the fish oil, and they still have a role, and I think they can still be helpful, but maybe not quite as what we thought, but they can still be helpful.
Right. I think the very best vitamins come in food. Mm-hmm. So if we can just eat your fruits and vegetables, not 7,000 calories at a time, but fruits and vegetables, it would be a good thing.
Or at least maybe lower that carbohydrate load, like during lunchtime. Try to keep it more with the meats and the vegetables then, because then you're going to get a little tired normally in that early afternoon anyway. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about respiratory infections, because that's a common winter thing. And I mean, some say that every pneumonia that's bacterial-based pneumonia starts with a viral respiratory infection. You think that's true?
It definitely can go that way. I learned in med school, whenever you saw ever or never on a test, you should never.
That's the never. Don't do that one.
So I don't know if you can say everyone starts viral, but viral illness would be the majority. And to prevent that secondary bacterial infection, we have the vaccines, and the Prevnar, and we've got the pneumococcal. So there's now 2 ways to fight against it that's available for adults. So why put yourself at risk when you don't have to?
Right, so I'm pushing everybody to get their Pneumovax and then a year later their Prevnar, or vice versa. It doesn't matter, I don't think.
Yep.
Are you doing the same?
I'm trying to.
At 60 years of age, get your Pneumovax and then a year later your Prevnar, something like that.
And I like it when patients remind me.
Yes, I like it too, and so, the patient needs to take the ball and say, I want those 2 pneumonia shots, 1 a year apart. But then, even though you do the very best job you can, and even if you've had your pneumovax, and if you're older, your immune system is sagging, you come down with a viral respiratory infection. Does an antibiotic, starting with a viral infection, respiratory infection, does taking an antibiotic prevent it from turning into bacterial pneumonia?
No, the antibiotics aren't going to help with a viral case. Now, you may take it for 10 days, and guess what? Your virus is going to get better in 7 to 10 days. So you may think that you're getting better because you took an antibiotic for 10 days, but you just were doing something to entertain yourself while you were healing yourself.
And putting yourself at risk
And
for
a risk for
C. difficile and all these overgrowth problems. And then you have 5 days after you get your cold, you have that first day of sore throat, ache all over, low-grade fever, and then it goes away and you have a hacky cough for 2 weeks. But 5 days into it, you start getting a fever again. Then we worry.
Yep.
Get
When
in and be
things
seen.
change, I always tell my patients, if you get new symptoms, if symptoms worsen, if symptoms are changing, come back and we'll recheck then.
What about sinus infection? Everybody in the world seems to want an antibiotic for the pain in their face. Are you pretty quick to give an antibiotic?
It depends on the correct answer is no. I'm very staunch about I try to be responsible. And there are some days where someone just looks miserable, and sometimes I may give in a little sooner than I need to. But what I try to tell people is the rule of thumb is if you've had it for 5 to 7 days with a fever, you're probably not going to get over it on your own. If it's been over 2 weeks, antibiotics are indicated. But those first 2 weeks, really man up and tough it out.
Yeah, tough it out.
Well, the question I have is how much would increasing the humidity in one's living environment maybe help alleviate those symptoms, or maybe even not, or maybe be preventative?
And it will, but the problem is that it can also enhance the dust mites, so you've got to, not too much moisture.
Yeah.
And now for tonight's answer for the quiz, the Prairie Doc quiz question. During a below zero spell one weekend, the ice fisherman noticed white discoloration of the skin of his cheek. First treatment for frostbite he began was applying snow to the area. Was the snow helpful or harmful to the fisherman's skin? And the answer, Jill?
Harmful.
Harmful. Old myth. Don't treat frostbite by putting on snow. It's the first real aid for this would be gentle warming the area with warm, not hot water if possible, to seek medical help. Problem with people who've gotten so cold, they climbing into a bath full of water, is they can't tell the temperature of that water, if it's too hot or if it's not. So if someone else checks the temperature, it's just right, then you can do it. We'll be right back after this.
You still feeling lousy, sweetheart?
Terrible. Day 4 of aches, chills, sweats.
Oh, poor thing. You're just not you when you have the flu.
I don't feel like me at all. Do I look sick?
You look different.
Oh, you're so sweet.
That's not your pretty face.
Feel like yourself. Get vaccinated, because stopping the flu starts with you.
As summer wanes, autumn falls upon us, and winter shovels in, we're reminded that to survive, we must face change. I attended 2 funerals this last month and wondered how both surviving 80-plus-year-old men, widowers, were going to handle the loss of their spouses and all that is about to change. No question, survival depends on their capacity to change. I hope that they would, over time, take the opportunity to connect more with friends, their grandchildren, the people in their church, and spend more time with new or long put-off hobbies while appropriately mourning their loss for a time, and then moving on. But then again, the death of a wife and the adjustments needed to go on might be too daunting and could take one or both of them out in short order. It's not an uncommon story that after the death of a spouse, the elderly partner dies within the month. Sometimes this comes as the result of a particular type of heart failure that follows severe emotional loss. Sometimes from malnutrition and dehydration when depression causes one to stop eating. Sometimes there's no explanation. And sometimes the remaining spouse dies from suicide. Some may perceive the spousal team dying so closely together as a romantic, elderly Romeo and Juliet-like love story, so poignant and heartwarming. But the truth is that it may be an unnecessary death that could have been prevented. No caring and compassionate person would want their partner to follow them so closely into the grave. When love is true, then they would want the one left behind to see that change is an opportunity to continue on in another way, to find fresh interests, to discover new joy. Other life changes can be similarly challenging, such as having a new diagnosis of cancer, moving out of a home in which one had lived for many years, suffering a financial crisis, and so on. We know that the ability to handle change is like working and stretching a muscle. If you don't use it, you will lose it. Stagnation can cause rigidity, weakness, despondency, death. But movement can cause flexibility, strength, happiness, life. As winter shovels in, we are reminded that to survive, we must face change. And then we can be alive to see spring again. Well, a heartfelt thanks to our studio guests, Anthony Vaca and Jill Kruse. You've warmed the cockles of our hearts with your insights tonight. Thank you both for being here.
You're welcome.
Flu cases continue to climb as the season progresses. If you haven't received your flu shot yet, do not delay. Get your flu vaccine now to reduce your chances of catching the flu bug. If you've gotten your shot, congratulations, and you've taken the best step on your way to a healthy season. This is our last show for 2015. We'll be off for a few weeks as South Dakota Public Television has some special holiday programming. On Call with the Prairie Doc will return on January the 7th, 2016. Please be sure to tune in then. So from all of us here at On Call with the Prairie Doc, have a Merry Christmas, or if you celebrate a different holiday this time of the year, then we wish you joy.
Former South Dakota Senator Tom Daschle joins us as we look at the present state of U.S. healthcare policy. Next time, On Call with the Prairie Doc.
Funding for On Call with the Prairie Doc is provided in part by
Avera is a proud sponsor of On Call on South Dakota Public Broadcasting.
LARSON Manufacturing is proud to support On Call Television as it continues to open doors for important medical information.
And by the South Dakota Foundation for Medical Care, the Medicare Quality Improvement Organization for South Dakota.
Additional funding is provided by
Aberdeen Asthma and Allergy,
Brookings Health System,
Dakota Allergy and Asthma,
Dakota Care,
Orthopedic Institute,
Physicians Care Sanford Clinic Community Service Committee,
Swiftel Communications,
and Vance Thompson Vision.
Closed captioning for On Call with the Prairie Doc is provided by
Avera,
Brookings Health System,
and Fishback Financial Corporation.